Well, old man winter kicked our butt between the ice and the power outages. We were offline for about 24 hours, but we're back up and running.
Yep.
And it's back in a live show today. We had to cancel yesterday, Chastity.
Crazy.
It's always a rough Monday when you have to cancel a show, reschedule our guests and everything.
We had a good snow day.
Yeah. I had to come up and do some de-icing. If this radio gig doesn't work out, I got a future as a de-icer. Maybe the airlines can hire me.
Did you climb the tower?
No, I didn't. See, I was thinking about you. You would have, if I needed somebody to climb that tower, you would have done it, wouldn't you? You're
Absolutely.
trouble. You're trouble, Chastity. No, that means we got a stacked show today because we didn't have one yesterday, so we are packed to the gill. In the second hour, candidate for Lieutenant Governor Blake Tillery. Houston Gaines will be joining us. He's running for Congress. Clark Dean, he's running for governor. And Kelvin King is a candidate for Secretary of State. All four of those guys will be stacked back-to-back in the second hour as we hear from them and they make their case to run for their particular office. In studio in about 30 minutes, Ben McDaniel. He's a good buddy of mine. He is the VP of Development for the Development Authority of Walton County. Super, super young man. Can't wait to have him join us. And shortly, just a matter of minutes, the host of the Shelley Winter Show, Shelley Winter himself, will be calling in, from AM 750 WSB, 95.5 on the FM dial. He will be calling in and spending some time with us. I can't wait to speak to Shelley.
Me either.
Yeah, great guy.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So it was cold yesterday. Show got stacked and packed. But what Lillian and I did last night is we snuck out, we ventured out, we went to 1025 Church, who is doing their revival.
Yes.
Now, they also got pushed back a day, too, as well. So last night, we got to see the pastor, First Baptist Atlanta. His name is Anthony George. He spoke. He was fantastic. But they had a band, Jason Lovin's band. They performed for about 30 minutes. Chastity, they were good. They were good. Yep.
Oh, I'm so sad I missed it.
Kind of a bluegrass, hillbilly, gospel type. I guess that's probably a real butchered way to describe how they are, but I think that's how they describe themselves. They said they're hillbilly, so I can say that. They were really good, and an incredible testimony that the lead singer, I think his name is Jason Lovins, it's his band, an incredible testimony that he shares as part of his music ministry. Folks, if you don't have anything going on tonight, find your way to 1025 Church, no matter where you are, whether you're coming from Oconee County, Athens, down by the lake. It's not a long drive. 1025 Church is right here in the heart of Monroe. They'll be on at 6:30 tonight, and the speaker will be Jerry Spear. But the revival, the Jason Lovin's band will be performing for 30 minutes. They are good. You won't be disappointed.
Yes.
And, of course, you get to see Tommy Fountain.
Yes.
That always makes
Pastor
my day.
Fountain.
Absolutely.
He is the greatest.
Happy birthday to my dad, 84 today. Spoke to him this
Happy
morning.
birthday.
Yeah, he's still rock solid, clears the bell.
Oh, I love that.
Listens to my show, but he says he still prefers O'Reilly.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I haven't won him over yet. But he does listen to my show. So I don't know if he's listening today, but at least I got one fan out there.
Happy birthday.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. Shelley Winter from WSB AM 750 will be joining us live.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Are you looking for new tires? Well, look no further than Madison Car Care. They have the largest selection, and you'll always get the best price. They also handle a wide range of auto repairs, from the small things like oil changes and wiper blades to the big things like suspension, parts, and radiators. They offer all kinds of accessories, from toolboxes to bed covers, side steps, and they even install those awesome ranch hand bush guards. Give them a call at 706-342-4774 or stop by at 1040 Confederate Road in Madison.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Our first guest is a gentleman who hosts a show on AM 750, 95.5 FM every night from 7 to 9. Shelley Winter. Shelley, thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Hey, Mark. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Are you staying warm over there in Atlanta? Because it is ice cold out here in Good Hope, Georgia.
Oh man, this as a former New Yorker or as a lifelong New Yorker now living in Atlanta, I can tell you this is balmy for us.
Yeah, compared to what it would be like in New York, but down here, it's funny, Shelley, because I'm originally from Michigan. I've been down here for 44 years now, and I have become acclimated to the southern climate. When I go back up north, that bone-chilling cold up there is different than what we have down here, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely. Even now, it's my thermometer on my car read 33 or 34 degrees, and I'm like, it doesn't feel like it, but I guess it is.
Yeah, I went out and walked the dog last night, and that's when it really hurt. I think it was in the teens, and it's just painful.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I'm so excited to have you, Shelley. And what I wanted to do, I've listened to your show. You do an incredibly good job, and I want to congratulate you on the success that you've had. But tell our listeners maybe a little bit about yourself. You said you grew up in New York. Let's start there. And what brought you to Atlanta?
So I'm born and raised in Harlem, New York, and went to Riverdale High School, private school. Went to private schools most of my life. I was always the black scholarship kid, and I lived in New York. And if you would have told me 25, 30 years ago that I'd be living in Georgia, I would have told you that you're probably crazy, because why would I leave New York? I love New York. I grew up there, knew a bunch of people there, had my whole life there, and I got a job with Fox Television Sales. So about 20 years ago, and because I was, before I fell into talk radio and literally fell into it, God pushed me into it. But before that, I was a media salesperson.
Interesting.
So I was working for Fox Television Sales, and they sent me down here to help out. And so I came down here, and I completely fell in love with the city. I didn't really like television sales because it wasn't as creative as print or radio sales, and which I was doing before that. And so I didn't really like the job, but I fell in love with the city. And when it was time to go back to New York, I just resigned and stayed in Atlanta and picked up my life here. So the point is, had I not, I would never have awakened one day and said, I'm going to pack my bags and move to Atlanta.
Right.
It took being moved down here by a company, and then I fell in love with it. And I've loved it ever since. I used to tell my friends in New York, I said, hey guys, you guys should move down here, because you can go out on a Saturday night, meet a beautiful young lady, and the next day when you ask her out, you go to church as your first date. And that's kind of what Atlanta was to me.
Amen to that.
Partied on Saturday and went to church on Sunday. I was like, that's the perfect wife right there.
Oh, that's fantastic. What year was it that you moved down here from New York initially?
Oh man, so that's the thing. Because I was sent down here, I don't really remember. I believe that it was around late '99, early around '98, '99. I don't really remember, because you know what I mean? Because of the way in which I came.
Well, and I find it interesting because I came down in 1980 from Michigan, a similar path. I was 10 years old. My dad got transferred from his company, and that's what brought us to Georgia. And often see it that people come here and then they don't want to leave, right? Rare is it that somebody moves from Georgia up to the north because of many reasons, the climate being one of them. It's a great lifestyle. I mean, Georgia is just a beautiful place to live. It really is.
Absolutely. And the people are really nice. And for me, I came from a big, bustling urban area, and when I came to Atlanta, I lived in the city of Atlanta. Well, when I first got here, they put me up to stay in the city of Atlanta. So when I got my first apartment, it was in Buckhead over by the golf course, Chastain Park. So first time in my life, I had an apartment. It had a pool. It had a terrace, and I was still in the city per se. But when I woke up in the morning, I didn't hear cars. I heard birds chirping and things like that. But I still had city living.
Right.
I could still go out. I could still go to bars. I could still come home any time of night. So it was like the best of both worlds for me. And then the people were kind. The women were beautiful. And what more do you need?
We're blessed. We're blessed down here in Georgia. And that's it. You walk down the street, people make eye eye contact with you, they wave. You try that up in Michigan. If you cross somebody that you don't know on the street and you say, "Hey, how are you?" They look at you like something's just falling off your head.
Well, I tell you, in New York, it's similar. But once they realize you're not a threat, then they're helping you. So at first, it's suspicion. That first split second is, "Who are you?" And then when they see, okay, this person is not a threat. It's friend or foe. Okay, this is a friend, and they say, "Okay, what do you need?" But make it quick because I'm in a rush.
You're in a rush. That's right. They got business to tend to. It's New York,
right?
The financial capital of the world. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Shelley Winter. He's the host of the Shelley Winter Show on AM 750, FM 95.5, nightly from 7 to 9. I have that right, don't I, Shelley? 7 to 9?
Yes, sir.
Is it 7
Absolutely.
days a week,
yes,
or are you 5 days a week?
5 days a week. I do two shows on Saturday afternoons inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Moore, and then I also do a show called The Car Guys with Kevin Deutsch of Butler Lexus, South Atlanta.
So when you were younger and you're seeking your profession as a sales executive, was it ever on the horizon that you would be involved in radio? I mean, was this something that was percolating in the background for you?
No. Not at all. So I'm an only child. My dad was married 3 times, and so my mom was a second wife, and so I'm with my mom, an only child. Mm-hmm. And so growing up, I grew up, like I said, in Harlem, New York. We read 2 newspapers a day, the Daily News and the Post, and as little kids, as 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, because we're all big athletes and we played sports and we loved sports. And so I'd always been interested in the news. So I've been reading the newspaper since I was a kid.
Wow.
I've been reading because I'm an only child. My mom would have me come upstairs at 7 p.m., before the lights came on. So I read a lot. I watched a lot of television and, that kind of lifestyle.
Sure.
Went off to college. And so my first job out of college was at Young and Rubicam, which was one of the top ad agencies at the time, and I was a media planner. And so I got to meet with all the newspapers, all the TV stations, all the radio stations, and everything like that. And then I went to the other side because there was more money in sales than it was at the agency side, so I just chased the money and went into sales. Let me skip ahead. I got down here, and I was the ad director for WCLK, which is our jazz station, community NPR jazz station here in Atlanta. And the way I got into radio, this is why I tell people, they ask me, how do I do it? And I say, I don't know. God did it for me. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But to tell you how God-driven this story is, and my story is I was working at this radio station. The Atlanta Hawks bought a half hour of community. They had to spend their community service dollars. And it was coming to the end of the year, and they said, we have to spend this money. And they said, well, do a show on the jazz station for a half hour, Wednesday nights. And the station said, well, it doesn't make sense to do basketball talk for a half hour and then play jazz. So they filled the other half hour with sports. And a young lady, she's on a station here in Atlanta now as well. If you don't mind me saying her name is Rose Scott.
Sure,
Rose
yeah.
and I did the half hour of sports. Well, we did that for a while, and that was fun. But I kind of got a bug, but not really, because it was, on jazz station, it was kind of fill in. It wasn't really a big deal. But one day I'm sitting up at Lake Lanier, had a couple drinks, and I thought to myself, you know what? I want to do talk radio. That the rest is kind of history. I knew the program director at which is the African American talk station here in Georgia, in Atlanta, in the Metro. He went to school with me, and they brought me on once a week to do a community show at night. I did that, and about a month and a half later, the guy that was on Afternoon Drive got in trouble. He did something wrong. I don't know. Never knew the full story, but I know the program director told me, I'll never forget it, sit here until I tell you to get up. And I did that for 2 years. That's when I realized, this is what God put me here to do, is just talk to people on the radio. And because I'd already been a news person my whole life, without pay, I just was interested in what was going on. It made for, perfect situation. And the fact is that I don't really forget anything means that I have stuff floating around in my head, which comes out at night. I don't know where it comes from. Again, God, but people ask me questions and I'll just remember something that I read 50 years, 25 years ago, and I'll say, oh yeah, it's just like this. And that's why I say it's God. It is.
I love it. I love how God opens these doors, and you have a God-given ability to be able to remember stuff like that. It's like my dad. My dad can cite statistics. He can tell you what somebody batted in 1954, but he may not be able to tell you what he had for breakfast. But that's just part of getting old. But no, I love it.
Well, I tell you, I don't know if it's part of getting old because I'm the same way. I literally, if you ask me, I watch police dramas all the time. The police say, "Well, where were you May 5th?" I couldn't tell you where I was last week. Sometime I try and remember. People will say, "Hey, I met you at this meeting or this event a couple of days ago," and I'm like, "Oh, what event was I at?" Really, it's just the function of having too much in your head and pushing out the non-important stuff. That's what your dad is doing. He's still young, trust me.
That's great. I love it. We're going to take a quick break, Shelley. Want to come back? I want our listeners to hear more about you, your show, and the mission that you have in Atlanta. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. We'll continue with Shelley Winter in just a minute.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Are you looking for new tires? Well, look no further than Madison Car Care. They have the largest selection and you'll always get the best price. They also handle a wide range of auto repairs, from the small things like oil changes and wiper blades to the big things like suspension, parts, and radiators. They offer all kinds of accessories, from toolboxes to bed covers, side steps, and they even install those awesome ranch hand bush guards. Give them a call at 706-342-4774 or stop by at 1040 Confederate Road in Madison.
These days, many think that truth is relative. You have your truth and I have mine. Speaking your truth means staying true to who you are. It may be how you feel, what you believe, or how you identify. Truth, by definition, means conforming to a fact. Two contradictory ideas can't each both be true. One may be true, one wrong. Or both may be wrong, but they can't both be true. To say so is logical nonsense. So with all the fake news and opinions flying around, how can we know what's true? At Jesus' trial, Pilate cynically asked, "What is truth?" And Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He's not claiming to be one truth, but the truth. Soon after Jesus spoke these words, he rose from the dead. That's enough to convince me that Jesus tells the truth. This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
To subscribe to Devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
Welcome back. Marc McMain, our guest, Shelley Winter. He is the host of the Shelley Winter Show on AM 750 WSB and FM 95.5, weekdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Shelley, I moved to Atlanta when I was 10 years old, and I immediately fell in love with AM 750 WSB, and the flagship host on that station was a guy named Ludlow Porch. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yes, sir. So I wasn't here then, but I've heard the name, obviously. As a matter of fact, he's got probably, I believe, one of the most beautiful radio pieces on the death when Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I think last year I played it on Martin Luther King Day, or either April 4th when he was assassinated. I played it.
Wow.
But it's one of the more beautiful pieces that I'd ever heard. And it's fascinating that at that time, you can only imagine that in Georgia, I would assume that Martin Luther King probably wasn't the most popular guy. But at that time, when he did this piece, you can tell that there was a humanity in Ludlow, but there was also a humanity around the station. In other words, hey, I agree with you or I don't agree. It doesn't matter. This man was killed.
We're going to do what's right. Yeah.
Right, yeah, it was beautiful. It really was beautiful, and so obviously I've never met him, but I've
he
heard
was
a lot
unique.
about him.
His show, he rarely veered into politics. His show was pop culture before pop culture the phrase ever existed. Right? He would talk about movies, music, entertainment, sports, and he'd tell you how to get squirrels out of your attic. It was always a lighthearted show, and I remember my very first time I called into his show. I was 12 years old. They were discussing Bruce Lee and how Bruce Lee died, and I was a martial arts aficionado, and I called and I set Ludlow Porch and his counterpart straight that night and explained to him how Bruce Lee died. But that was my very first experience in that. And the reason I set all this up for you is because I'm pretty sure he had that night slot. So think about this. You, Shelley Winter, are the host of AM 750 WSB in the same time slot that Ludlow Porch was. I may be wrong on that. Somebody correct me if I am, but I think you've got that spot. So I just love it. I think it's just serendipitous, the journey of your career. Shelley, for our listeners, who tune in regularly, how would you define your show?
My show is a mix. It's it's politics, it's current events. Last night, for instance, I was only on for an hour on Mondays up until basketball season's over. We have the Bulldogs coaches show on at 8 o'clock, so on Mondays I'm only on for an hour. So I only had 4 segments last night, and those 4 segments were Minnesota. The current news on Minnesota was the second segment. The third segment was what I called how they led us down the road with weather porn this weekend and teased us. And the fourth segment was football and the playoffs. So really, the show is Shelley's interest, what I think are male 25 to 54, their interests, and adults 25 to 54, what you would be interested in, what you're talking about, and just giving my opinion on those things. Tonight's show will probably be more news of breaking news today around DHS and Border Patrol and the President and the administration, and then some light stuff, some serious stuff. It's a mixture. It's kind of like, a look into Shelley's brain, which is probably with different opinions on different things, but probably the same brain that most people who listen to talk radio, what they're thinking about.
Well, what I've noticed is when you're on the show, you speak what's on your mind. I mean, I can tell you're, in the limited time I've gotten to know you, you're not a man worried about what other people think. You're speaking what's on your mind, and you're bringing it to the forefront every night in your own fashion.
Yeah, and it gets you in trouble. My side is very upset with me right now. The other side was very upset with me for 6 months before this. So, a friend of mine told me if everyone's mad at you, then you're probably over the target.
That's right. You're doing the right thing. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Shelley Winter, host of the Shelley Winter Show, nightly 7 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday, AM 750 WSB and 95.5 FM. One other funny thing, if memory serves me right, Ludlow Porch, he'd always make this comment, because keep in mind back then, 750 was the flagship station. They didn't have 95.5. And
Right.
Ludlow's famous saying was, FM radio is of the devil. So now what I like to say is that satellite radio is of the devil, because I'm an FM station. Right. So that's changed a bit.
Exactly right. You've got some great guests on today. Many of them, several of them, friends of mine. So good luck with that, and good job getting those guests that you got coming up, Blake and John, and all those guys.
Yeah, I love giving these guys an opportunity to speak and share their ideas and vision. And I tell people our style on this show is we're not a gotcha show. I'm not going to try to queue up some question and catch people off guard. I want to just give people an opportunity to come up and share, what's going on and what your vision is, whether you're an elected official, whether you're a candidate, or, Shelley, I'll interview business owners. I interview, voices of faith. I love it when I have the pastors of churches on. I think on Thursday we've got principals of high schools. So we do everything community-based. We just want to hear what they've got to say.
Yeah, good for you. And I'm the same way when I interview politicians. I just bring them on to let them say what they want to say to the public. The public will hold them accountable. It's not for me to bring you on and, like you said, play gotcha with you. I'm using my airways to allow you to get your message out and let the public decide what they want to do. And that's the way I see what I do at night, and to entertain people, make them laugh a little, make them think a little, let them get mad at me, or, whatever the case may be. But, I love it. I wouldn't do anything else. And I thank God every day that when I get up, I get to go do what I love and not what I just have to make, what I'm making money from.
When your career's over, have you thought about, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? I mean, what do you hope people say about you? And you're in the prime of your career. Obviously, you've got plenty more radio in front of you. But have you thought about that?
Yes. I would like people to I'd like people to do what you just did in this interview with Mr. Ludlow. I would like years from now someone to be interviewing someone else someplace else and say, well, I once heard this guy on the radio, Shelley Winter, say this. That's what I'd like to have happen when I'm, dead and gone, that people still will look at the show that I've built and see it as you described it. He just spoke his mind in the moment, and he didn't care, who we would get mad, because he knew on any given night whatever he's about to say was going to piss somebody off. Not purposely, but someone was going to get mad. And that's all I want. I want to leave that legacy behind, that, I told my opinion, I gave it transparently, I gave it honestly, and I let the chips fall where they may. But that's, I like to, I'm not going to say, I'm not making the analogy between he and I, but I'd like people to talk about me years from now as they mention Neil Bortz or Rush Limbaugh or Ludlow, or anybody else that's a legend in this game or has been a legend in this game. Just like, did you hear when Shelley said this 20 years ago? Oh, wow, look, it's happening now.
Well, I can see you're on that trajectory. And I'll tell you this, too. You were kind enough. I met you just a matter of weeks ago at an event in Atlanta.
Yeah, you came to my party. I appreciate it.
Well, and well done. Thank you for inviting my wife and I. We weren't able to stay long because we were taking my son to dinner, so we wanted to stop in and visit. But in that room, at that party that you had, Shelley, you had the who's who of Atlanta from all political spectrums, from all demographics. I don't know of anybody else in the city that could have done what you did that evening.
Well, and that's the other part of the legacy I'd like to leave, that Shelley Winter worked very hard to bring people together regardless of race or religion or political affiliation, that he worked hard to let people know that we can socialize together, we can go to church together, we can be friends. We may disagree on a policy, we may disagree on how something should be fixed, but at the end of the day, we can be friends and we can love each other. And that's probably the other part of the legacy I'd like to leave.
Well, and one final question I've got for you. Atlanta's a unique city. What does it mean to you? It's got an incredible history. What does Atlanta mean to Shelley Winter? It's a city that's totally being sold to the highest bidder. Many of them don't live in Georgia, and its legacy is probably going to disappear within the next 2 or 3 political cycles, because the people that are moving here from other cities don't care that it's a city of civil rights. All they care about is that I got a latte machine in my $500,000 condo, and I'm happy. And that's really the sad part. Atlanta's not going to be Atlanta by 2030. Man, I hate hearing that. I do. It's
gonna
it's
look
got
totally
such a storied
different.
history. Yeah. It's crazy to think about. Shelley, you've been a blessing. I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you calling in. If ever the opportunity exists, you come down. Look, we're just an old dirt road country station out in the middle of Good Hope, Georgia, but we got a heck of a signal.
Right.
We reach from Athens down to Lake Oconee and beyond, so we've got a nice footprint. So if you're ever in this area, we'd love to have you come and hang with us.
Please.
Absolutely, and I told Chastity if she has some beautiful girlfriends, I'm in the car tomorrow because I'm off. So you guys have a great day. God bless you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Shelley. Have a great
thank
day.
you.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
that was a ton of fun. Marc McMain show with Shelley Winter, host of the Shelley Winter Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. on AM 750 WSB, 95.5 FM. That was a blast. Hopefully we'll get to have him come in here and visit with us. He's, but Chastity, the problem is if he comes and visit with us in person, he's going to be let down, because I've seen the video of his studio. His studio's high tech.
Well,
yeah.
hey, we'll go see him next.
Yeah, it's highfalutin over there. We're a country station out in the middle of Good Hope,
I
man.
love art. This is a home.
It
This
is.
home.
I
Very
love our
homey.
place. I'm very happy
And
to be here.
everybody has fun.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. We come back. Mr. Ben McDaniel. Stick around.
Don't miss a huge discounts on new Fords and special financing rates for most qualified buyers going on now at Loganville Ford. Plus, see their great selection of pre-owned vehicles at their used car supercenter at discounted prices. Loganville Ford is your home for quick lane, offering service and tires for all makes and models. Open Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. 3460 Highway 78 in Loganville. Stop in or shop online at LoganvilleFord.com.
If you're selling or buying a home, you should call AMPM Septic to inspect your septic tank. This could save you on costly repairs. AMPM pumps your tank, fixes septic alarms, drain lines. They can fix any problem you're having with your septic tank. Call 770-231-7979. They do inspection letters. AMPM is family owned and operated, licensed and insured company. Call David for all your septic needs. 770-231-7979.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
Lake Life is the Lake Area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. That was a fun interview, Chastity.
It was.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have Shelley in the studio soon.
What a cool dude.
I know. He's so fun.
And he's building his legacy. There's no doubt. His show is a great show.
He has really worked super hard and a lot of determination. So
very
good for
proud
him.
of him. Yep,
very motivating.
Our next guest, a friend of mine, Ben McDaniel. He is the Vice President of the Walton County Development Authority. Mr. Ben, thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, my absolute pleasure. Great to join you guys today.
I was hoping you'd come in person because when I was explaining to my wife who was on today, when I first said Ben McDaniel, it slipped her mind. I said, the guy that always dresses sharp, everything looks right. She goes, oh, yeah, I know who Ben is. So, we're hoping to get to visit with you in person today, Ben, but I know you're a busy man.
Hey, and as far as dressing, you only underdress for an occasion once, and you'll never do it again.
I've done it a few times, unfortunately. My wife, she's got me trained a little bit now. She says, hey, you got to dress the part. Ben, you and I are Rotarians, and I was able to be at a Rotary Club meeting one time when you came in as the presenter, and you did a great job of just kind of explaining your background and where you came from and how you arrived to the point where you are now. And I figured let's take the first segment and do just that. Tell our listeners about you, where you grew up, and your education.
Sure. I grew up in and around Barrow and Jackson counties, and I went to a lot of different schools in Barrow County and then finished up in Jackson County. And after that, I lived in a garage apartment on Martin Street in Jefferson, Georgia for 5.5 years. I took the Stetson Bennett way of college.
Yeah.
Not that I played college football. It just took me a long time to graduate.
Yeah.
And so took 5.5 years there, and then I moved, and I got a degree, and don't laugh when you hear this, in recreation and leisure studies from the University of Georgia.
Okay.
And, it makes sense. I worked in parks and recreation, the profession, not the show, for about 8-9 years. After college, I moved to Aiken County, South Carolina, and stayed there for about 1.5 years until my old boss in Jefferson, when I was doing my internship, called me back and said, hey, you're applying for this job, right? And I said yes, and moved back to an apartment above where it currently Swirly's is in downtown Jefferson. Stayed there, and I worked in Jefferson for about 3.5 years, and really it was the golden era. I learned so many things about organization, carrying the flag for a community, taking pride in things.
And that's what the Parks and Recs for Jackson County, was that who it was?
City of Jefferson.
Oh, City, yep. Okay.
Any given weekend, you're coordinating over 2,000, 2,500 families to go a certain specific place. And if you get that wrong, there's a lot of people that are upset.
I can only imagine.
And on a Saturday, the biggest pit in my stomach, other than parental behavior going awry, would be a team who you don't recognize showing up on the field. Somebody messed up at that point. But I was in Parks and Rec in Jefferson. Then I went to Oglethorpe County for almost 2 years. We won everything you can win in Parks and Rec during that. And then I went to the city of Gainesville, and that's when I figured out I am not about this life anymore. I am ready for something else.
Yeah.
And from that point, I started praying, and my wife told me the Family Connection job in Barrow County is open. And so, much like Dina Huff is in Walton County, I took that position as the executive director of Barrow County Family Connection, in which I held that for about 4 years in Barrow County.
And Ben, tell our listeners, what is the Family Connection?
And it's different for every county. So the state gives every community anywhere from $50,000 to $55,000 a year to say, hey, have a person in your community that is the connector. We need people that are slipping through the cracks to be found.
Okay.
You need to be the connector. If there's a domestic violence case, you need to be the person that can refer them to a local nonprofit that deals with that. If someone needs food, you need to be the person to hand them off to someone who deals with food. You don't have to do everything, but you have to know where everything is.
That's interesting.
And so I held that position for about 4.5 years in Barrow County, and it was such a good learning experience for me to come back to Barrow County, a place where I grew up in and around, and to really, on the other side as an adult, to be a contributing member of that community and to be able to, especially during the pandemic, deliver food to people, connect people. We helped fundraise, $15,000 for seniors to be able to, for Meals on Wheels because the funding ran out. Be able to use that influence to help make people's lives better. In Rotary, it's funny you mentioned that. Rotary came into play again. I was presenting one day about Family Connection, and a lady named Lisa Maloof, who was previously the dean of Lanier Tech in Barrow County, she was the economic development director for Barrow County. She looked at me and says, you need to be in economic development. And I didn't know what she meant by that. So we kept talking, and a lot of it's having pride in your community, being willing to carry the flag, and there's so much more to it than that. But and being able to get in front of people and speak competently about things you care about and what moves your community.
Yeah.
It's from that point I started taking classes at the University of Georgia. It's a certification, the Georgia Certified Economic Developer class. And at that first class at the Georgia Center for Continuing Education, there was a guy that was up there speaking, and he was talking about data centers in Stanton Springs down in near I-20. And he was talking about incentives and how they landed Facebook at that time. Now it's called Meta. And I knew at that point, here's a guy I need to hook my career onto. And here's a guy I need to follow and kind of watch where he's going and how he moves. And that gentleman was Shane Short.
Yep, Shane's a good guy. Yep.
And so I met Shane, introduced myself, and stayed in touch with him. And there's some people in this industry that are stuffy, somewhat pretentious, and these are words never describe Shane. He was always there when I wanted to call, when I wanted to talk. And so I'm still doing the Family Connection thing, but staying in touch with Shane and staying in touch with Lisa and taking these classes. And then eventually, Barrow County had a job opening for an economic development coordinator. And truthfully, it was kind of built for me. And so I interviewed and got the job, and I learned from Lisa. And there's no shortcut for experience. So under Lisa, I got to get a lot of reps. We worked a lot of projects because when I came on 21 to 22, from 21 to about 23, 2021 to about fall of 2023, we had projects after projects after projects after projects.
Ben, what were some of those projects you guys were working on? Because that's about the time that I met you, and I know that was a big deal at the time. So what were some of the things that you guys were working on?
Well, I can talk about them now because they've already landed. The Q-Cells project and the Anwa project that are now in Dalton and Cartersville was one project. We worked that one. There was an InterSys project that ended up located in Greenville, South Carolina. Worked that project as well. Those are two of the bigger ones. And it's a site elimination process. It's almost like that game Deal or No Deal where you're choosing a briefcase and you're eliminating briefcases. that's how it is from a site selector's point. They're finding something out about your community that they don't like, and not necessarily they don't like, but doesn't match what they're looking for, and they'll eliminate you. It's simple as that.
And I would imagine a big thing for them is they want to be sure that they have a good workforce that they can pull from and provide some good quality jobs.
Workforce development is everything in this job. Do you have the workforce that can fill these jobs? And a lot of places can't. We're very lucky where we live right now because we're right here in the middle of everything with a large population base. Maybe too large for certain people, but we have a large population base to pull from. And so I'm working Barrow County, working those jobs and working those projects and getting a lot of reps. And after that, in 2024, at the end of 2024, and it slowed down, truthfully, during election season. It slowed down through 2024, and I knew it was time to look at other places, and I thought I was going to another community, and Shane's like, don't do that, do this instead. And I trusted him, and soon after that, he had a job here, and I took a leap of faith that was really not much of a leap of faith and joined Shane on last year. My first day was January 6, 2025. That's how I got here.
That's how you got here. You listen to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Ben McDaniel. He's the Vice President of Development of the Vice President of the Walton County Development Authority. What is your impression so far of Walton County? I know you've been a neighbor of Walton County for many years, but many of these counties, Walton, Oconee, Barrow, Morgan, and beyond, they share common core values. Do you see that? Do you see that there's some symmetry between Barrow and Walton?
The good thing about economic development is that most companies don't see county lines like we do. I mean, heck, I still see school system lines and high school football rivalries. I see all that, but they don't. So we get the benefit from Barrow's growth while maintaining our steady and controlled growth. In Barrow County, when I was over there, there is townhomes, apartments, and subdivisions going up a lot of different places. Why? Because they have sewer, and that's what their future land use map indicates. They've identified these places, and they said, yes, this is where we'd like to grow. And they are. Whereas in Walton's been very smart about this for decades. There's only sewer in the municipalities, the cities. So you don't see 300, 400 unit subdivisions out in the middle of a cow pasture in Walton County. It just doesn't happen. The subdivisions you do see that are in Walton County are usually larger, and they're a little bit more expensive, the housing. Therefore, your tax base is a little bit more wealthier. And that's the biggest thing. Barrow County's average wage is $36.2, and in Walton County, it's $40.2.
Wow.
So which is kind of mid-level professionals in that prime earning. You're seeing that in Walton County. It skews a little bit wealthier. It skews a little bit older. It is not the first homeowner. It's not, I feel, and this is a feeling, I feel Walton County is not the place for maybe the first-time homeowners. Maybe it is for a lot of people, but I can move to Walton County once we get more established for all the different reasons, for the school systems, for the parks and recreation, the quality of life, the downtowns. It's for established families coming in. I feel that may not be what the numbers flesh out, but I feel that coming here.
Well, we've had Dessa Morris on the show a few times with jobs listing, and all these jobs are right here in our backyard. So whether you live in Barrow, Walton, Oconee, Morgan counties, these are all 10, 15-minute drives, and these are great companies that are providing jobs that you can live on. These are incredible wages that are being offered. And the best part about it, Ben, is these no longer do you have to drive to Atlanta or drive 45 minutes an hour away to have a good job.
Absolutely. And Mark, when we come back after the break, I can tell you positionally, location-wise, why Walton County is perfectly positioned for prosperity because of the 4 large projects around us and how Walton County residents and Joe Public on the taxpayer is going to really benefit from all of these great jobs around us. We'll
do just that. We'll take a break. This is the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Ben McDaniel, Vice President of the Walton County Development Authority. You're not going to want to miss this. Don't move. Stay put.
Ladies, grab your girlfriends and plan a night out at Boss Brothers Country Store in Loganville. Southern Belle Boutique, located inside Boss Brothers, is hosting their Galentine's Day party you don't want to miss. Join us Tuesday, February 10th from 5 to 8 p.m. for a fun evening of sales, giveaways, and so much more. Because Girls Night deserves a celebration of its own. Boss Brothers, your locally owned country store at 3084 Highway 78 in Loganville. Follow us on social media for weekly deals and updates. locations.
Is technology giving you a tough time at your home or business? Don't worry, Big Mountain Computers is here to help. We're your local tech experts, now open in Madison. Our white glove service ensures personalized solutions for all your IT needs. Hardware fixes, remote support, private lessons, and more. Visit us at Madison Plaza across from Ingalls or call 706-343-4184 to schedule your consultation. That's 706-343-4184. Big Mountain Computers, turning your mountains into molehills.
Are you looking for new tires? Well, look no further than Madison Car Care. They have the largest selection and you'll always get the best price. They also handle a wide range of auto repairs, from the small things like oil changes and wiper blades to the big things like suspension, parts, and radiators. They offer all kinds of accessories, from toolboxes to bed covers, side steps, and they even install those awesome ranch hand bush guards. Give them a call at 706-342-4774 or stop by at 1040 Confederate Road in Madison.
Lake Life is the Lake area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
Whether you're mowing, grading, or just taking care of your property, you need the proven reliability of #1 selling Kubota compact tractors to help you get it all done right. Stop by today. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment with 0% financing available or save up to $3,250. Now through February 28th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Your local Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, located at 545 Highway 11 in Social Circle. Online at HayesTractor.com.
And welcome back, Marc McMain. Our guest, Ben McDaniel, he's Vice President of the Walton Development Authority. Ben, real quick question before we dig into the meat and potatoes of what you guys are working on right now. Looking back, what experiences do you think that you had that have proven most valuable with your current role with the Walton Development Authority?
For me, it was, as I mentioned earlier, getting the reps. Once my previous director, Lisa Maloof, retired and I took over, it was up to me, an army of one. But economic development's a team sport, so a lot of that was getting people in the community, from the technical college, from the local high school, continuing education, work-based learning coordinator, getting to your roads and bridges and your utilities guy, getting all these people in the room and pulling in the same direction on a big site visit, and doing that often. Those are the most important, because you can't fake experience.
Sure.
So those were the most important experiences for me, was just actually getting the reps of working projects.
You had mentioned earlier smart growth, and that's what people anticipate in Walton County, because we understand we're a growing county. People are coming this way from Fulton, Gwinnett, DeKalb. They love what we're doing. They love what we've got going on here, and not just here and beyond. It's Barrow is experiencing this growth. Oconee is, Jackson County is, you name it. Everyone's kind of pushing east, northeast, if you will. What does smart growth mean? Walk us through that.
I think smart growth is having an understanding of your community strengths and what you want and where you want it. Ultimately, I'm a big believer in future land use maps, which is exactly what it is, future land use of this. So if along 78, is it going to, you want to be, let me think about this for a second. People want to be near the things, so your high density should be in your cities.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't. So meaning, I don't know if a future land use map out in the middle of nowhere should have in Good Hope, should have a community, a subdivision of 600 units. That doesn't make sense, right?
Right. Yep.
However, there are places in this county that could make sense, and possibly in a city. So it's utilizing your strengths, whether it's location, whether it's your logistics, your roads, and it's utilizing that to your advantage. So I'm a big believer in that. And by using that, there's where your smart growth. So realizing where industrial growth could come, which could help balance your tax digest even more. Let's identify that and have an overlay district to say, hey, one day when this land is up for sale again, we can make this M1, so we can put it back on the tax digest versus being conservation.
And that's the
this
challenge.
isn't for every place. Some places should stay conservation and should stay farmland.
Well, and that's the challenge, is being sure you have a balance between residential and commercial, so that you have what you just said there, that you have the proper balance in the tax digest, so that homeowners are not overburdened with property taxes, which is a lot of, that's the number one complaint for people right now is, hey, we feel like we're getting hammered on the property tax side. And I think Walton County's done a good job with that, where it's that balance where you have larger corporations coming in that not only provide jobs, but they pay into the tax system, the property tax system, and helps alleviate some of the burden.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely.
What's next for you guys? And I know you probably can't talk about anything top secret, but when you look at Walton County as a whole, what direction are y'all looking or pushing towards?
Well, kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier before we left, where we stand right now, and a lot of the growth that we see is within this area. To our northwest is something called the Rowan Foundation. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's right there you've probably seen the greenway if you've been on 316 that separates Gwinnett and Barrow County. It's a 2,000-acre life science campus where they're recruiting research. They're recruiting research facilities. And we compete against them for different projects, but they're trying to land a big pharmaceutical or something like that. And once they land one, they'll land others. But it's Gwinnett County in the state of Georgia's answer to the research triangle.
Okay.
And they're predicting anywhere from 40 to 60,000 jobs by the end of the century. So this is a long-term build-out. But I tell you this, they've already spent well over $100 million on water and sewer on this land. So where the water and sewer comes, the growth will come.
The growth will come, yeah.
So that's going to be there. That's to our northwest. To our extreme north, SK Battery is already there in Jackson County, and we talk about a 45-minute drive from there that pulls into some of Walton County, and those are quality jobs. To our east is University of Georgia, but more so Meisner, which is soon going to be completed. Meisner is a big biopharmaceutical company that's going to be employing 2,000 people. And most importantly, and it's no longer the elephant in the room, is Rivian, which estimates up to 7,500 jobs once it begins, and that's right here in Walton County to the south of us along I-20 in the Stanton Springs area.
What is the update on that?
Right
Is that
here in the middle of it.
Is that back under construction yet, or where are we with Rivian?
They're working through permitting right now. I think I'm permitted to say that,
Okay.
But everything full speed ahead right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. And again, jobs. I grew up in a scenario where parents had to drive 30, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour into the city if you wanted to have a good job. That's no longer the case. All these entities are providing jobs where you can leave your house at 7 a.m. and arrive at work at 7:15 or 7:30 at the latest. We don't really have massive traffic issues. We don't want them. It's coming. I get it. It's part of what goes on as we grow, but it's that juggling of keeping that small town feel, which we all want, but having some nicer things close by. That's the art of this.
When we have all these jobs that are going to be near us, which really makes us pivot, what do we try to attract next? Is it big job producers, or is it big investment, smaller jobs? Because we have a 7,500-pound gorilla south of us, right, that are a huge job producer. So we have to think about that. But when you mention people moving to the area, I think what gets lost on that sometimes is people are moving to Walton County for a reason. They're not trying to escape. They're trying to join. The quality of life is second to none here. The taxes are reasonable. Don't fight me on that, please, public. But when you're comparing to neighboring communities and whatnot, the services in which the cities and the counties provide are top-notch, from parks and recreation to animal control to roads and bridges to water. All of these things are done really well. In our cities, have you been down to downtown Monroe during the Battle of the Burger or any of these events they have, the car shows that attract over 30,000 people? People want to be here for all of these things. And all the schools, whether it's public school or private school, you can have it all in Walton County.
And I'll add to that.
Be here for that.
Well, and I'll add to that law enforcement. We've got incredible law enforcement in each of these counties that people feel safe. They know that if they dial 911, they're going to have a deputy at their door answering within a matter of minutes. And that means something, Ben. That's a big deal to the residents of these surrounding counties. They want to know that, God forbid, if something tragic or something happens, that there's going to be a responsive unit. And it's a wonderful place to live. It really is.
And this may be some insider baseball, but like a new first-class jail also plays into that. Not even, and think, when I was in Barrow County, I ran the Leadership Barrow program, and every year when we would tour the jail, they would talk about, we have this many inmates in here, and this many inmates that are bussed in from Oglethorpe and Walton counties because they don't have the capacity, and we do.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to have to adjust their budgets at these other communities, just throwing this out there, because Walton County can now keep its inmates here instead of sending that money elsewhere to pay for other people to do it. So it's an investment here that's really going to pay off long term.
Yep.
You know, sometimes you hear that, and I'm butchering it, but like true growth is when people plant seeds today that will grow into trees that provide shade that they will not be able to see or be around for. And I know it's much more simpler what I'm saying and much more elegant, but you get the gist, right?
Yeah, we do. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Ben McDaniel, Vice President, Walton County Development Authority. Ben, anything else that I'm leaving off as far as jobs, development, other things in the hopper that you want to talk about before we shift on to the final subject?
So, the two sites that we really work right now, we have a 12-acre site in Piedmont Regional Industrial Park, which is right beside Tucker Doors and Walmart Distribution. And behind that, we have a 140-acre site on Jim Dawes Road that's also part of Piedmont Regional Industrial Park. And it's an industrial site. It looks like it's just a pasture right now. We have big signs out here that it's industrial land. That is what we use to hopefully recruit good-paying jobs that to this area. And we're looking at a lot of different things, and this is about leveraging what your community does well. Currently, the city of Monroe has a pretty good amount of water and sewer, so what fits that we could fit there? Maybe a beverage or a food production, not necessarily poultry. I'm talking Mars Corporation, different things like that in that vein. Those are kind of the different things we're looking at, because the strength of what Shane Short and what the leadership in this community has done for years is in the diversity. So you have some of our new core to Hitachi Ostimo. I think it's just Ostimo now. You have all of these different things, all of these diverse industries, and we don't recruit competitors to our current existing industries. So that really nails down what we can go after next. So whether it's biopharmaceutical up here, or it's food production or beverage manufacturing, something like that is what we're going after, as long as the jobs and the average wage match what our community needs.
I love it. I love good jobs. And that reminds me, Chastity, we've got to get Dessa back on so she can give us an update on some of these companies that are looking to hire people, because I know there's some folks that maybe are out of work. January can be a slow season if you got laid off by somebody. She's always got a list of jobs that are looking to be filled, and these are great jobs. Mm-hmm. These are great jobs, and they're right in our backyard. Yes. Yep. Ben, I don't get to go to the Rotary Club anymore because my show overlaps with it. Are you now visiting the Rotary Club Monroe consistently, or where's home base for you?
I am currently still a member of the Barrow Area Rotary Club, but I will be transitioning to if they'll take me, the Rotary Club of Monroe in July. And I haven't made because I'm here today, I was planning to visit today, but I think they're presenting their star students today. So
that's right.
First student of the month. So I will plan to visit in the future. And what's great is it's like Cheers, where everybody knows your name, and you always see a smiling face. So I loved not only presenting at the Rotary Club of Monroe previously, but just it was a lot of familiar faces. And I love that about it. It's a great welcoming group that makes a real impact in the community.
It's a great club. If they start that Friday morning deal, let me know. I'm not an early bird, Ben. I know you are, because I see your little post when you jog like 13 miles before 6 a.m. I'm still getting my Z's at that time, but if they do have that, I'd love to come see you one day, because I don't get to do the lunch club anymore. That'd be a chance to cross paths. No, that's great, Ben. I greatly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man. Please say hi to everybody over at the Walton County Development Authority, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Hey, it was an honor and a privilege to be on your show today, sir.
Thank you, Ben. That's great. Ben McDaniel, VP, Walton County Development Authority. A little insight as to what's going on, some cool stuff. Great time to be in Walton County and the surrounding area. And Chastity, let's get Dessa back on so she can provide us with some updated jobs listing. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, we will have Mr. Blake Tillery. He's state senator, also running to be our next lieutenant governor. Stick around.
Real country.
This is Q92.3, WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
Looking for a deal on a new 2025 Ford F-150? Then come to last year's #1 retail volume Ford dealer in the nation, Aikens Ford in Winder. Hi, this is Brad Aikens, and through January 31st, take $15,000 off the MSRP on remaining 2025 Ford F-150 XLTs and trimmers. Stock number 89625, MSRP 68758, with approved financing through Ford Credit and your 1995 renewer trade. Dealer retains factory rebates plus government fees. See dealer for details. Claim based on Ford's 2025 retail sales report. Visit us today at AikensFord.com.
Do you have unwanted or scrap gold and silver jewelry just lying around? What about sterling flatware or gold and silver coins and bars? Madison Coin and Bullion will pay top dollar for any precious metals you own. Madison Coin and Bullion also offers a large selection of gold and silver coins and bullion available to purchase at competitive prices. And if you're looking to purchase jewelry at a considerably lower price, look no further than Madison Coin and Bullion. Madison Coin and Bullion, located at 2492 Eatonton Road in Madison, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Ready to grow your small business and reach thousands of new customers? Say hello to Town Values Magazine, formerly MTM Shopper, proudly serving the community for 22 years. Every month, thousands of magazines are mailed directly to homes in Walton, Oconee, Barrow, Rockdale, Newton, Gwinnett, and beyond to further expand your reach. Our magazine is packed with valuable coupons and services offered, helping families save money while supporting the community they love. We specialize in local direct marketing that works, building your brand, driving sales, and connecting you with the customers who matter most. Plus, we're online at townvalues.com and on Facebook and Instagram, giving your business even more exposure in print and digital. Ready to reserve your space in the next edition? Call Liliana at 770-267-6650. Town Values Magazine. Local, trusted, powerful, helping businesses grow and families save.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Our next guest, Blake Tillery, Georgia State Senator, who is also running to be our next Lieutenant Governor. Blake, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, Mark, doing great today. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you taking a minute. I know you guys are busy under the Gold Dome. Give us a quick update on what's taking place up there right now.
Yeah, we're in Legislative Day 6 today, and so we came in a little bit later. As you know, the ice storm sort of slowed things down around here just to make sure everyone could get in safe. So we had a flip of the agendas. What usually is a session in the morning, a committee hearings in the afternoon. That sort of flipped this morning to be more committee hearings in the morning that'll carry into the afternoon. And the legislative session itself, the floor debate, will be very, very short, except for points of personal privilege, I believe.
So give us some of the initiatives for the Georgia State Senate in this session, and if you want to include in that the something you're championing, which is the reduction of the state income tax. If there's other things besides that, I'll let you kind of just walk us through the table.
Yeah, we've got a couple of big priority items that you'll see. Most of them focused on the families and affordability, making government work for people. One of them that I actually have in a committee hearing today is not going to get a whole lot of play on media, but it's extremely important if you're a family that's dealing with a child with autism. We are noticing that's a lot more prevalent. There's a lot of people who have their reasons why, but one of the things we saw is that in our DFACS custody, the kids in DFACS are 6 times more likely than the general public to have autism. So we're trying to address that. There's some pilot programs we ran last year. They showed that 6-to-1 ratio, and we're working to have more providers there, of course, and then expand that pilot into other areas. I'll have that bill in a committee hearing this afternoon around 3 o'clock. But that's one, again, a lot of work that happens up here that never really makes headlines. It's obviously important to those families.
And, Blake, to get my mind around that, you're saying kids that are in the DFACS program versus kids who are just in a traditional home, are 6 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism.
That's right. And then you end up with a chicken or egg issue, right? The being in foster care called the autism? Right. Probably not. But the autism probably ended up being the reason why their families sometimes, look, it's really, really sad. Sometimes they're abandoned. Sometimes they have behavioral issues where they're assigned to defects because of things that happen with their parents. And you don't have to think too far down that logical tree to realize that, hey, if we could solve the autism issue, perhaps we don't have as many children in our foster care. So that's what we're now trying to tackle. Again, things that I don't think are ever going to make an Atlanta Journal-Constitution headline.
Right.
But there's things we're trying to do for people. You mentioned the big topic. You know the big one. Mark, you and I have talked about it, is putting money back in families' pockets.
Sounds like you got a pretty good idea now how to do this.
We do. We finally have a plan that works us to get there. Lieutenant Governor Jones has championed eliminating the income tax. Of course, that's something I've chaired the budget now for 7 years and can tell you that it's doable. You just got to place your priorities right and put people over corporations. We bring in about $16 billion on the state income tax. We give out about $30 billion in corporate welfare and corporate credits. If you're willing to get those credits in line, you can do away with the state income tax.
And is it still part of the equation, the $100,000 deduction? Is that still what's being conversed, or have you guys come up with some other ideas?
Yeah, man, you're getting good into the weeds. I usually stay high level, but I'm happy to jump deep here with you.
Sure,
so basically what we realized is that to move, we know this year we plan to move from 5.19 to 4.99, but to go from 4.99%, the state income tax rate, down to 3.99 would be about a $3 billion cost, if you call it cost to government. It's just putting money back in taxpayers' pockets, but let's call it cost from the government side. If you were to instead come from the other end, I've equated it to a Subway sandwich, and we've been eating it from one side. Our state income tax rate used to be 6%. We've walked it down to 5.75, 5.39, 5.19, going to 4.99. Again, just walk it down from one side there. If you were to go to the other side of that Subway sandwich, again, knowing that the goal is to eat the whole sandwich to eliminate the income tax completely for Georgia, you can take and move up to a standard deduction of $50,000 for an individual or $100,000 for a family. In other words, that first $100,000 is not taxed at all, regardless of your income level. If you're making $1 million or you're making $70,000, you can do that for $3 billion each fiscal year too. So
see, I love that because, think about this, Blake. So if you're a family, and let's say the husband is making $45,000 a year, and let's just say the wife's stay-at-home mom, so you're making $50,000 a year, and that is, you have a deduction that goes against that. That means you're going to save. Well, let's do the math. What's 5%? That's about $2,500 that Georgians will put back in their pocket every year. That's real money. That's over $200 a month.
You're right. And if we were to continue with the 1% reduction, then you're putting about $8 a pay period in a family making $50,000 pockets. If you come from the other side and double the standard deduction, for a family making $50,000 or an individual making $50,000, that's about $2,500. If you go up to the $100,000, so maybe you have a teacher, maybe the wife's a teacher, maybe the husband's a police officer, and they make right around $100,000 together, that's $5,190 back in their pocket.
That makes a difference. It's real money.
Yeah. Some of your folks listening may say, well, I make over $100,000. Why do I care about this plan? Well, remember, that standard deduction applies to you as well. So you may make $500,000. If you're married and filing jointly, that first $100,000 would be untaxed. You'd only be taxed on $400,000, which again would be $5,190 in your pocket as well. The benefit applies equally, but of course the impact is more felt on those making less than $100,000. And Mark, there's a reason. Because I'm traveling the state. Look, I'm an attorney. My wife's a physician. We do okay. We're not having a hard time figuring out how to pay for our groceries right now. Although I will tell you, child care is even expensive for us. Yeah, we have 2 boys and 2 foster kids. The folks making $125,000 and less, they are screaming at us to literally with their votes to understand that things cost too much that they're having a hard time figuring out how they're paying for gas, groceries, and child care. And I hear them. I want us to respond. I think this is a targeted move that benefits everyone, but definitely has an impact most on those making less than $125,000 a year.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Blake Tillery, is Georgia State Senator. He's also running to be our next Lieutenant Governor. Tell us about the campaign and the initiative as to why you want to get involved and move to the higher level in this.
Well, Mark, thanks for that. We've been crisscrossing the state now. As you know, I announced back in August that I was going to run for Lieutenant Governor. In that time, the support and really just across the state, from your area, my area, I'm down in southeast Georgia, down in Vidalia, from northwest Georgia and across the board has been just really tremendous. We've been able to organize in all 159 counties. What does organized mean? It means that we have somebody in all counties, regardless if you live in Dade County or DeKalb County, who's put their name on our campaign and said, I'll be the Tillery chair for that community. Why do we do that? Because Georgia's just so darn big. I'm not even going to meet everybody in my home county of Toombs County.
Right.
So we're hoping that someone you can identify with someone in your community to say, hey, if Blake's good enough for them, maybe he's good enough for me. We've now got over 200 elected officials who've endorsed our campaign, including over 65 sheriffs.
Wow.
So, again, our campaign's focused on protecting Georgia families, the folks who you elect in your communities to protect you, including the sheriff there in Walton County. It has been very, very kind to us, and we want to keep Keith Brooks. He's endorsed our campaign. If you go back to Oconee County, James Hale, Sheriff Hale's endorsed us. Go over in Barrow County, Judd Smith, who's a very, very popular old Judd over there, has endorsed our campaign, and others. And we're just very, very blessed to, again, present a plan that tries to help everyday citizens and win folks' support. But I want to win your voters, too, and that their vote is just as important as anybody else's.
Well, and Senator, let's do a little one-on-one. I like doing this when we have somebody who's running for lieutenant governor, because some people don't know really, and I was one of them prior to me being more politically active or politically involved, if you will, not understanding the role of the lieutenant governor. Not only you second in command to the governor, God forbid if something was to happen to the governor, you're next man up, if you will, but there's other roles that you have. Tell us about that.
So the biggest bully pulpit, I suppose, you have is you control the legislation and the flow in the Senate. So there are a lot of bills that probably just don't need to pass. The lieutenant governor doesn't have exclusive control, but sure has a whole lot of control over whether or not those bills get to the floor to begin with. They set up the committees in the Senate, so they're able to decide the committee chairs and then which legislation goes to which committee. So by doing that, they can vet legislation. Of course, I would want to vet it with a conservative mindset, conservative from a policy standpoint, and then also conservative from a budgetary standpoint. I realize that the money that we have in the government is not made because the government sold anything. It's made because we used the force of law to take it out of the citizens' pockets and put it in the state coffers. So, again, that is the biggest advantage or pulpit, I'd say, that the lieutenant governor has.
That makes sense. And finally, if somebody wants to learn more about you and your campaign, where do you point them to?
TilleryForGeorgia.com. That's our website. You can learn a little bit more about us, but I certainly don't mind if your folks call me directly. I'm applying for a job with them, and I have the cell phone numbers of every employee that works at my law firm down in Vidalia. If they want to call me directly, it certainly does not hurt me at all. Send me a text, because sometimes those calls get screened. As you know, I'm not trying to buy any warranties from China or anything like that. But my cell phone number is easily accessible. It's 912-245-9915. And, if I'm lucky enough to win this thing and be your employee, I want you to have the ability to get in touch with me.
Blake, that's fantastic. I greatly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy under there under the Gold Dome. I may be sneaking out there tomorrow, so if I do, I'll come up and I'll track you down and say hi.
It's not really hard to find me. Bring your jacket, though. It's cold out here.
I know. It's ice cold. That's great. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Hope you have a great morning.
Absolutely. We will. Thank you so much. As Blake Tillery, Georgia State Senator, running to be your next lieutenant governor. When we come back, Houston Gaines, 10th congressional candidate for Georgia's 10th district. He's also in the House of Representatives for Georgia House of Representatives. He's going to be calling in and giving us a little update just like Blake did as well. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is attorney Bart Bitton with Bitton & Bitton. I live and work right here in Monroe, Georgia, and I am proud to serve this area. If you've been hurt in a car accident, you don't need some out-of-town lawyer that treats you like a number. You deserve a local lawyer you can trust, someone who lives here, works here, and takes care of people. So remember this, if you're ever in a car accident, be smart, call Bart. Bitton & Bitton, local lawyers you can trust.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Since 1979, the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family has been caring for families in their time of need. The Tim Stewart family pledges to honor your loved one with excellence in service, compassion, and will guide you in making the right decisions. To learn more about the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family, stop in at one of their 3 locations in Monroe, Loganville, and Lawrenceville. Call 770-267-2594 or go to stewartfh.com.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Boy, we've got a full stacked lineup, chassis. There's no room to even breathe on this.
I feel like I'm constantly moving.
You're getting paid battle
pay here. A lot of moving parts.
Well, our next guest, Houston Gaines, he's in the Georgia House of Representatives, actually in session right now, just like Senator Tillery is, and he is running to be your next congressman here in Georgia's 10th District. Houston, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thanks, Mark. I apologize, a little out of breath. Just running across the street to get back to the office from the Capitol.
I've got you guys scrambling. I got y'all chucking and jiving down there in the Capitol. Well, I appreciate you taking a minute to call in.
Absolutely.
Just like we did with Blake, give us a quick little update what you're seeing from the House side. Of course, Blake's in the Senate. You're in the House. What do you see? What's going on today?
Well, I think you're, and I didn't get a chance to listen to Blake, but I'm sure he talked some about the income tax, and certainly you're going to see a lot on taxation, I think, this session. We're, both reducing to eliminating the income tax, to also property tax. I think you're going to see a lot about property taxes, particularly from the House, and probably see a proposal coming out very shortly that would eventually eliminate property taxes for homeowners, over a period of time. And so that's our goal, is to eliminate property taxes for homeowners. And so that's one of the things they're going to start to see come down the pike real soon.
Yeah, citizens, you know what? They need a break, right? They feel like they're being hammered from 10 different directions. We just came from record inflation under 4 years under Joe Biden. And while inflation has somewhat leveled out, the effects of it are still here because things still cost more, right? Just because inflation has come down doesn't mean that things have gone down. And so when you look at the average American, especially in our backyard right here in the Walton, Morgan, Oconee County areas, folks are thank God gas has come down, but groceries are still high. Insurance is still high. Property taxes, you've got, of course, income taxes that we pay. So anywhere that there can be some relief is going to be welcomed by the voters.
Well, that's right, and we do have to find a way to help, homeowners, and certainly in some parts of the state, property taxes have just gone through the roof, where you have local governments that frankly aren't doing their jobs very well. And I live in Clark County, where I have not seen my property taxes go down anytime recently. I'll say that, and you have school systems across the state that are sitting on billions of dollars in cash reserves, and you have local governments that frankly are not doing their job in some places, and the homeowners are taking the brunt of that. And so what we've got to do is find a way to find some property tax relief. We tried to do some of that a couple of years ago with a constitutional amendment, and it's something that my hope is this year we pass meaningful property tax reform that helps all homeowners across the state, and I think we can do that. I'll tell you another thing that I'm working on that we expect to be in committee tomorrow, that I've worked on the last couple of years when we're talking about local governments not enforcing the law and not doing their jobs. I've got a piece of legislation, House Bill 295, that I've worked on for a couple of years, that if a local government is not enforcing their own ordinances, their own rules related to camping, loitering, homelessness, and or if they're not cooperating with our federal immigration authorities as required by Georgia law, with House Bill 1105 that I led on a couple of years ago, that also has criminal penalties for local elected officials that aren't doing their job. But if they remain still failing to follow the law related to illegal immigration or homelessness, then property owners in those communities can file for a property tax refund up to any damages they've incurred, whether their value of their home or business has gone down, if they've had to put up fencing or security cameras because their local government isn't doing their job. And so that's something that we look forward to presenting very soon and look forward to passing through the House. Other states have done similar things, and what you've seen is local governments respond, because the way you hit these local governments is in their pocketbook. That's the way to get these folks to respond. Right. In a place like Athens or Atlanta and some of these other places that frankly are not doing things right in terms of following and enforcing their own laws.
Marc McMain Show, our guest is Houston Gaines. He's in the Georgia House of Representatives, and he's also a candidate for Georgia's 10th Congressional District. I like this. And again, once again, Houston, this is an example of legislation that you have either led on or have been a part of that is really forward-thinking. Perhaps these weren't items that we even thought we had to deal with 10 years ago, but we do have to deal with them now. And so you've been very forward-thinking on this. And what it tells me, and I'll kind of open the door for you on this, but what it tells me is even though you are currently running for higher office or a different office, you still have unfinished business and you still have your mind in the right place in trying to get things done in this legislative session.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of times when people run for higher office, they resign from their current role, but I signed up for this job for this term, and I have work left to do at the state capitol. That's why I'm here every single day. And here at the at the General Assembly, where a lot of things get done at the state level. And I'll tell you, when I get elected to Congress and head up to D.C. next year, I can tell you I'm going to be frustrated because at the state level we move in a very fast and efficient way, and we get things done. We pass a balanced budget. Congress doesn't quite operate like that. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided to run for Congress is I think we need people who know how to get things done, know how to deliver, and that's certainly what I've tried to do here in the General Assembly, whether it was taking on district attorneys, whether it's taking on local governments not dealing with illegal immigration, sheriffs who weren't enforcing the law, many of those other public safety issues in particular, cashless bail, some of the other things that we've seen in jurisdictions across the state that maybe it's not even happening in your county. So in Walton County, you've got one of the best sheriffs, if not the best sheriff in the state. Yep. That's not the case in some of these other counties. Sure. And what happens just a county or two over impacts the law enforcement officers in your community. You think about when we had Deborah Gonzalez as the district attorney in Clark and Oconee counties just next door to Walton County, that was impacting the ability of the sheriff's office to do their job because all of a sudden you're in a car chase and you cross over the county line, you're in Oconee County, and Deborah Gonzalez is going to probably try to prosecute the law enforcement officer instead of the criminal. And so that's why, what we're doing in Athens and other parts of the state impact counties even where you have good leadership.
Well, and to even compound upon that, we've had radical DAs that have basically come out and said, hey, it's almost like that is their mission, is to prosecute law enforcement. Not even talking about prosecuting the criminals, but it's like that would be their trophy case, is to be able to arrest law enforcement. So yeah, it's frustrating when you have that type of radical mentality that has permeated these high levels of elected offices where they can do damage. I mean, they really can literally do damage to society, and we saw that with Deborah Gonzalez over in the Clark Oconee area. Houston, let's talk about
these folks are funded by George Soros, and it's scary that these kind of people can get elected to office. And really, until the bill that we passed, it's been a couple years, but it's been in litigation over and over and over again. Of course, the Democrats love to sue, but they create the Prosecuting Attorneys Qualifications Commission, which your great district attorney Randy McGinley is a part of and has been influential in that from the very beginning.
We've got a good one. Yep.
There was no way to really hold DAs accountable like Deborah Gonzalez. Now citizens have a way to file a complaint, and then we have Randy and the other folks in that commission that can hold DAs accountable, and certainly y'all are very fortunate to have a great district attorney, Randy McGinley.
Yeah, so what that means is that if you have a DA who then is not prosecuting criminals or not doing their job, that they can be held accountable in some form or fashion.
That's right.
Yeah,
they can be suspended or removed from office, whereas just a couple of years ago, literally nothing could be done about a rogue district attorney.
Houston, tell us about once you're elected to be our next representative in Washington, D.C., do you have an idea yet of some things? Is it too early, or do you have an idea yet of some things that you would like to champion and bring to the federal level, building upon what you've done here for the state of Georgia?
Well, I think you're going to see me focus on a lot of the same focus areas, public safety in particular, certainly on immigration enforcement and, crime in cities across the country. So I think public safety is going to remain at the top of my focus list. And certainly, we talked briefly about a balanced budget. That's certainly not going to probably happen overnight, just watching how Congress operates from afar. But my hope is we've got to get our fiscal spending under control if we're going to have that impact for generations to come. I mean, the amount of debt that we're going to be burdening the next generation, the following generation with.
Yeah.
I've been vice chair of the Appropriations Committee at the State House for the last several years, and we pass a balanced budget. We actually have a surplus, and so those are some of the sort of things that you'll see me focus on in Congress when I'm elected. Of course, a big part of what you're able to do in Congress also is determined by your committee assignments, and that's something that we're also already looking at and trying to make sure that we have the best committee assignments that can produce for the 10th district. Obviously, we have a very diverse district, 20 counties wide, and we've been hitting all those 20 counties regularly and learning from different folks throughout the 10th district on what we can do in Congress to help.
Excellent. Just love it. Just love it. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, Houston Gaines, Georgia House of Representatives, candidate for Georgia's 10th Congressional District. Houston, on a more personal note, how is the world's most overqualified, underpaid chauffeur doing?
Well, that must be my dad. He's doing good. My family's all in on this thing, and my father retired from being a doctor I think a week or two before I announced for Congress, and so he's been helping us a lot, and he certainly I think his pay is $0. Actually, I think it's negative because we've asked him for a donation, so he's negative. And
hey, you're a fiscal conservative. I like that. You're watching even your own money. So
no, I am. I'm. You can tell with our team, we've been very deliberate though about not spending our resources on all these DC political consultants and all these sort of things. I'm a fiscal conservative, and so anyway, he's doing well, but family is all in. My wife Gabby, I'm so blessed with her that she's all in on this.
Yeah, and, congratulations! You're a newlywed. What? Not a month in right now, right?
We made it through over a month, so we're doing great. And but she's a trooper. When we scheduled our wedding for December, we had that plan for over a year, and the plan was certainly not to run for Congress in the middle of it. But she's just been a blessing, and I'm very fortunate. And so anyway, the whole family's all in on this thing, and it really is a family affair, and we're excited about the opportunity.
Well, I love that. I love hearing that the family's behind you. It makes all the difference in the world. And if when we have a private conversation, I can teach you a trick that'll get you out of washing dishes, but I don't have the trick. Yeah, I don't have the trick that got me out of changing diapers when that time comes, so I can't help you there. But washing dishes, I can give you a little tip on how to get out of that one. Maybe.
Well, I've learned yes dear very well, so we'll look forward to hearing that tip offline.
You're a smart man, Houston. Well, thank you again for joining us today, and I appreciate what you're doing for us under the Gold Dome. Stay busy up there.
Thanks so much, Mark. Take care.
Absolutely. That's Houston Gaines, Georgia House of Representatives. He's running to be our representative in Washington, D.C. for Georgia's 10th Congressional District, which is basically our entire listening area and beyond. So if you haven't learned about Houston, go visit his website, Houston Gaines for Congress. Brilliant guy, great legislator, and I'm excited about what he is able to do, carrying that same momentum that he has built up here in Georgia to the federal level. Boy, Chastity, if he can get 10% done in Washington, what he's done here in Georgia, our country will benefit.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
I love what he had to say.
Yeah, me too. No doubt about that. Marc McMain Show. We'll be right back. We'll have Clark Dean, candidate for governor.
When it comes to tasty treats, the only place you need to be is Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Offering high-quality Georgia pecans, other nuts, dried fruits, coffees, and candies, Stone Mountain Pecan has it all. And the best part, it's all online at stonemountainpecan.com. Or take it all in person and visit their country store on Highway 78 in Monroe. Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Something for everyone. Eat well, be happy.
You ever roll out of bed and feel like you lost a fight with a tractor? If your back's barking, your neck's complaining, and your knees pop louder than a box of cereal, it might be time for the Joint Chiropractic. There are no appointments, no insurance mess, and no sitting around all day. You just walk in, get adjusted, and head back out feeling human again. Now serving Covington and Monroe, whether you've been hauling, hunting, working, or just sleeping funny, the Joint Chiropractic keeps you moving smooth and feeling right. The Joint Chiropractic, because snap, crackle, and pop belong in your cereal and not your spine.
Lake Life is the Lake area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
Welcome back. Marc McMain crammed a candy in my mouth, chewed it up real quick, and spit it out. Oh, don't do that again.
What's
wrong? That's too fast. I'm sorry, Chastity.
Was it not good?
No, candy was great. I just had a mouthful of candy.
Okay, I got you.
I didn't get my timing right. All right. Our next guest, Clark Dean. He is a businessman running to be our next governor of the great state of Georgia. Clark, thanks for joining us, sir.
My pleasure. It's great to be on.
I don't want to steal your thunder because I had a little bit of a intro for you, but I figured let's keep reintroducing you to our listeners. We have a great footprint, people that listen to this station. You're relatively new to the political scene. I would call you an outsider, which I know you call that yourself, but just tee us up. Tell us about you and why you're running.
No, thanks, Mark. I am. I'm a political outsider. With kind of a mission to really bring servant leadership to the governor's office. My whole life I've been in a client service business. Serving clients all over the country and around the world. And I really believe that the governor of Georgia is the greatest client service job in the state. We're essentially got 11 million clients. And the idea is, how do you serve them to the best of their ability, to really allow each Georgian to achieve their full potential? And I really believe we can do it if we get about it the right way.
Well, and I look at Georgia, I think you and I have talked about this before, I look at Georgia as one of the largest corporations in our country, if not the world. And so whoever's at the helm is basically the CEO of a incredibly large company. And so resume has a lot to do with this, and I know you're a pretty humble guy, but you have an impressive resume. So if you don't mind, just share your accolades. Start with your education and some of your accomplishments in the private sector.
Yeah, well, thanks, Mark. So, I've been very blessed. I often call myself a son of community because I really had a lot of mentors invest in me along the way. Everything from, I was an Eagle Scout. I'm involved in Boy State through the American Legion and went back and was a counselor there. Involved in church group and mission trips through years. Played football all the way through college, which I did play at Harvard, where I studied biomedical engineering. And it was really at Harvard that I got the political bug. I had been involved in politics in high school. But really, joined the few, the proud, the Harvard Republicans. Not a huge group up there.
Yeah, I was going to say not a lot of them up there. Right?
Exactly, but a mighty group. And I'll tell you, you really, iron sharpens iron. And when you're up there, and you really have to stand firm what you believe in, and build relationships with folks who may disagree with you. I think it's really important, and important for leadership. How do you get things done? And really bring people together to accomplish higher objectives. And so, that was really helpful. Then early in my career, I got a chance to work on some of the largest, most complex projects in Washington, D.C. from a real estate perspective. Got to work on the headquarters for the American Red Cross with Elizabeth Dole when she was running that organization, and had to deal with, Congress and Washington, D.C. Marion Barry was the mayor of the city at that time. So we had a lot of crazy stuff we had to deal with. And you just learn how to get things done. Since that time, I've been a management consultant dealing with some of the largest insurance companies and banks in the country, helping them figure out how to better serve their clients and customers. Worked with a lot of Farm Bureau companies, trying to help them figure out what farmers really need. Again, ironic now, given the fact that we got a big agricultural industry, obviously, here in the state of Georgia. And it really applied analytics, the sciences part of my background, to solving problems and getting things done. And I really believe that there's a time right now in the state where somebody that has the ability to run large organizations, to solve complex problems, to lead complex negotiations, is really what we need in order to get things done around the state, and to do it with a real heart of service as someone who cares deeply about Georgians and views this as a service job.
Well, and I've said this before, that I firmly believe if you look at the roster of candidates on the Republican ticket from top to bottom, from governor all the way down to the local races, our deck is stacked with really good people. And so I get excited when you see somebody who is willing to step away from success in the private sector, which it sounds like you've had tremendous success. Obviously, you've got an incredible pedigree when it comes to education, going to Harvard. That is an elite Ivy League school. You carry that over into the private sector. You have great success in the business realm. And so when you're running for office like this, people, they know the governor doesn't make much money, so you're not doing it for the money. I'm assuming you're doing this for the passion of what you want to do, what's best for Georgia.
That's exactly right. It's a service job. And it really gets back to some of the obviously, I'm very proud of the business I've built, even more proud of the businesses I've helped my clients build. But I'm also just so passionate about the work I've been able to do in the community. And again, been very blessed to serve on some great boards of some really big nonprofits. To run for governor, I stepped down. I was the chairman of the Metro Atlanta YMCA board, which is one of the largest YMCAs in the country. On the board of Shepherd Center, so I'm actually the chair-elect of that organization, a great brain and spine hospital, globally renowned.
Yep.
Does great work. Been involved with organizations like Covenant House, where I actually helped them acquire and develop a new facility, 7-acre, 60,000 square foot facility, way back when I was in leadership Atlanta with the benefit of that organization and Rotary Club of Atlanta. We pulled together, a great project to help Covenant House go from like a 10-bed project in Polar Rock, which is in South Atlanta, to this enormous facility on the west side where they can actually help kids get their lives back and then be reintegrated into community. And I think that's the thing in service, what I've realized time and time again, whether it's YMCA with early childhood education programs, Covenant House with homeless youth, Shepherd Center dealing with a lot of veterans and law enforcement folks who have brain and spine injuries. If you really focus on concentrated care, you can break the cycle and actually give people their lives back. And to me, that's been stuff I've just been doing in my free time. So I try to ask Georgians to imagine what I can do if I'm working for you full time, right? And that's really the job that I want is to be a servant of the people, to get out there and really get things done to make people's lives better.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Clark Dean. He is a businessman now running to be our next governor of the great state of Georgia. Clark, on the trail, I've run into a couple of times. We've met in person a time or two, and I've heard you talk about the ASAP plan. Do I have that right? Is it
yes,
ASAP?
Sir.
Am I saying that right? Explain what that is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So as any, good business guy would do, I started off this whole effort with asking a lot of questions and getting all over the state, meeting with folks in lots of different communities, asking a lot of questions. And what I did is put what I heard back into a framework of a plan. I call it the ASAP plan for Georgia, which we need to do ASAP, where ASAP focuses on affordability, it focuses on strength, it focuses on accessibility, and it focuses on prosperity for all Georgians as soon as possible. We really need leadership that moves at the speed of business and not at the speed of government. We need leaders who are really focused on solving problems, not politicians that profit from them, right? And we need somebody that actually cares and serves deeply and authentically, really caring about people and making sure that as we advance strategies, we're doing so in a way that actually helps people, do a better job of pursuing the American dream, which I think is we need to get back to.
Yeah, I agree with that. No doubt about it. Tell our listeners if they want to learn more about you, and I'm going to take it a step further. If you're going to be in this area, I always encourage people to go out and meet the candidates, right? I think it's a good thing. We have, like I said at the beginning, we have several great people running for these offices. The Republican bench is deep of great candidates, and Clark is no exception to that. He is in the time or two that I've met you, you're a genuine human being. You're very approachable. Where can people come and either see you speak in person, or how can they find out more about you?
Absolutely. Well, they can always find out more about me on my website or Facebook page. So my website is clarkdeanforga.com. They can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at clarkdeanforga as well. I've got a couple of things. I was supposed to speak in Oconee County actually when we got snowed out on Monday, so that would have been a good opportunity. But I don't have my calendar in front of me right now, but have several events coming up that we'll be posting online so people can take a look at where I'm going to be, both within Metro Atlanta and outside and around the state, which I'm still getting out there. I was just in Macon last week on Wednesday. On Tuesday, I was up in Hall County. I was in Barrow County before that. So really trying to get around and meet voters. And I really do encourage folks to come get to know me and let me get a chance to know you. I mean, that's really, I don't know how you do a good job serving 11 million clients of the state of Georgia if you don't meet them and you don't ask them questions. And I want to know, what they love about their communities. I want to understand what they think are the big opportunities. And I do want to hear what's breaking their heart and what can we do to basically enable all Georgians to really fulfill their potential.
Well, Kirk, I greatly appreciate you taking the time. I know you're on the trail. You got a big state to cover. You're probably putting miles on your vehicle that you never had before. So we wish you the best and keep us in the loop as to how your campaign's developing.
Well, thanks so much, Mark. I definitely look forward to it, and good luck with your pursuit as well, and hope to see you out there on the trail.
Thank you, sir. Clark Dean, he is a businessman running to be your next governor of the great state of Georgia. If you get a chance, I don't know when Oconee County is going to rebook that event, the Oconee County GOP. Stay tuned to their website when they do that, and if he comes back to speak, it's a good chance to go meet him and meet all these guys. Meet everybody that's running for governor. Meet everybody that's running for lieutenant governor. Go shake their hand or ask them questions, and that's the cool thing, Chastity. If you go to the Oconee County or Walton County or Barrow County, Morgan, wherever you go, if you go to their monthly GOP meetings, you get to ask questions to the candidate.
That's right. And you learn a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just so much information coming at you that it's just great to have those ideas.
Well, what I found is that most of these candidates, too, when they're asked these questions, and look, sometimes these questions can catch you off guard, right? It may not be something that you've been thinking about. You've got your pillars of your campaign that you're typically advocating for. So somebody asks you something, and it might catch you off guard, but then it makes you realize, hey, this is important to them. Right? And maybe I need to pay attention to what this is. So, folks, whatever it is that's on your mind, whatever you are bothered with or concerned about or want to see improved, this is how you do it. Absolutely. It doesn't get any more grassroots than this.
It all starts with one conversation.
Yep. Go show up, ask questions, and then you might even find that they'll take a few minutes at the end to visit with you in person. Again, there's only so much of them to spread around because sometimes these party meetings get packed out. So, but definitely worth the time. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Kelvin King, he was on our show right like the first week we started running for Secretary of State. Calvin ran for U.S. Senate 4 years ago, and then after losing in that race, decided, hey, I'm not done. I'm staying in this thing, and now he's running for Georgia Secretary of State. Stick around. You're going to hear from Calvin.
Do you have unwanted or scrap gold and silver jewelry just lying around? What about sterling flatware or gold and silver coins and bars? Madison Coin and Bullion will pay top dollar for any precious metals you own. Madison Coin and Bullion also offers a large selection of gold and silver coins and bullion available to purchase at competitive prices. And if you're looking to purchase jewelry at a considerably lower price, look no further than Madison Coin and Bullion. Madison Coin and Bullion, located at 2492 Eatonton Road in Madison, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Looking for a deal on a new 2025 Ford F-150? Then come to last year's #1 retail volume Ford dealer in the nation, Akins Ford in Winder. Hi, this is Brad Akins, and through January 31st, take $15,000 off the MSRP on remaining 2025 Ford F-150 XLTs and trimmers. Stock number 89625, MSRP 68758, with approved financing through Ford Credit and your 1995 renewer trade. Dealer retains factory rebates plus government fees. See dealer for details. Claim based on Ford's 2025 retail sales report. Visit us today at akinsford.com.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
When it comes to tasty treats, the only place you need to be is Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Offering high-quality Georgia pecans, other nuts, dried fruits, coffees, and candies, Stone Mountain Pecan has it all. And the best part, it's all online at stonemountainpecan.com. Or take it all in person and visit their country store on Highway 78 in Monroe. Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Something for everyone. Eat well, be happy.
Lake Life is the Lake Area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. In our effort to continue giving our listeners an opportunity to hear from a myriad of candidates, I'm excited that our next guest has decided to join us, Kelvin King. He is running to be our next Secretary of State of the great state of Georgia. Kelvin, thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, Mark. Happy to be here.
Yeah, are you staying warm?
Man, trying to. Dude, it is freezing out here.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I went to college in Colorado. I'm used to the cold weather, but cold is cold.
That's right. Colorado is cold.
I'm not a fan of cold.
Well, and for our listeners that maybe don't know much about you, I'm going to give a quick little recap. You and I met 4 years ago when I was running for something. You were running for United States Senate. And it's a story that I love that, yes, you fell short in that race, but instead of picking up your toys and going home, you just got back up and got more involved. And you stayed in the game. You were politically relevant over the last 4 years. And then this time comes around, there's an opening at Secretary of State, and you decided, hey, I'm in. You decided to run for this. What was the motivation to get involved in the Secretary of State race?
I mean, that's easy. I'm going to just kind of start personally. My motivation was really rooted in Matthew 25:14, the parable of the talents. You know, when God gives you certain skills or talents or what have you, He expects you to do something with it, particularly to do something with it to expand His glory. And in this case, I was not looking to run for Secretary of State, even though people have been asking me about it since my Senate campaign. But once I understood the shortcomings and the challenges and the irregularities in our elections and all the trouble that the office has been under, I thought that was an opportunity to turn it around. I've turned around organizations in the past in the private sector, and I look at this as a turnaround situation in that office. We've got to reinstill trust in our elections first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But secondly, we've got to make sure that our Secretary of State's office is working for our small businesses, particularly around business licensing. So my background fitted well, prayed about it, and this was clearly the job and opportunity for me, especially after my wife was selected for the State Elections Board by Speaker John Burns. And since she's been on that board, we've learned so many more details about how many challenges and problems we've had in our elections from 2020, really. So I'm going to fix that.
Well, and I think there's an appetite amongst citizens where we're tired of typical government entities. And what I mean by that, Kelvin, is this. If I was to call or go to the driver's services to renew my license, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to expect delays. Perhaps I'm not going to get the best customer service. Maybe I will, but perhaps I won't. Maybe I'm on hold for 30 minutes. When it comes to the Secretary of State's office, there's no appetite for that. You're trying to start a business, and time is money when you're owning a business or operating a business. You want your questions or your issues resolved quickly, and so I know that's a big deal for you is streamlining and being sure that those concerns are being addressed.
Yeah, essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the Secretary of State's office is customer-facing, and the customer are the citizens of Georgia. And, we tout a lot about Georgia being the number one state to do business in. But the truth is, Georgia is actually ranked in the bottom 4 states as states with the most bureaucratic red tape to deal with when you want to do work in the state of Georgia. Yeah. I want to fix that. I know that world very well. My background being a former contracting officer for the federal government, I know about all the challenges and the dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's and the red tape. And I want to reduce that as much as possible for our small businesses. And first and foremost, what we have to do is make sure that we can answer the phone when someone calls. Right now, I hear that it's difficult to get a human in the Secretary of State's office. I mean, that's the first step, is making sure you answer the call of your constituency. So we're going to make sure that we have industry liaisons that not only answer the call, but can navigate and show business owners or entrepreneurs really how to navigate their system, how to navigate their website, and how to get their license if they want to do a job that requires a license.
It's just 101. It just, if you're signing up to be a part of something, you just want to be sure your questions are answered, and I love that. Marc McMain, our guest, Kelvin King. He's running to be our next Secretary of State for Georgia. Kelvin, let's talk resume real quick, because I want to be sure our listeners know your pedigree, your background. You are a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. That is a big deal for those that are not aware of the service academies and who you have to be to just even be considered, much less make it through the process of vetting and finally wind up there. Start with that. Tell us about your experience at the Academy.
Well, if I'm going to tell you that, I got to start with my experience, period, here in Georgia. Sure. I'm a Georgia boy. I'm born and raised in Georgia, born in Macon, Georgia. Raised up in South Cobb, though, Mableton, Austell area. Challenging upbringing. My dad left, and there was a lot of issues with drugs and domestic violence in my home growing up. But I had a lot of love with my mom and my grandmother. I was able to stay focused on my academics. I was a pretty good student. I was a gifted student in school, the target program I was in through school, and I was able to be a pretty good athlete too. So when you combine pretty good grades and being a good athlete, I was able to get an appointment to the U.S. Air Force Academy through one of our local congressmen back in 1992. And I mean, Mark, that changed my life. Going into an institution like that, that's just focused on leadership. It's really a leadership training institution for 4 years, and then once you graduate, you go into the real military. And I was an officer in the Air Force, and I was able to put in place all the training that I got while I was in school in the real Air Force. And yeah, I did. I had some pluses and some minuses. I did some good things and dropped the ball here or there, but I learned how to be a good leader in application in the Air Force. And those are the skill sets I want to bring to the Secretary of State's office. In fact, when I give speeches about my campaign, the first thing I tell people is that you've got to make sure you organize, you clean up the organization from the bottom up, the roots, the basic fundamentals. And when it comes to fundamentals, I'm going to implement the core values of the U.S. Air Force: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And if there's a employee within the Secretary of State's office that has a hard time understanding that's our new core values, then obviously that's the conversation that we're going to have to see if they have any ability to stay within the office. But that's going to be first and foremost. After that, then we're going to start rooting out issues with our elections. We're going to redo one of our processes. I'm going to implement hand-marked paper ballots when it comes to our elections, because there's really too many Georgians that distrust our elections, and there's too many unanswered questions from our Secretary of State's office. So in order for us to reinstill trust, we've got to go back to where we fulfill and meet the Georgia law. And the law says that every voter must be able to verify their vote on paper. And right now we can't do that because our vote is actually carried through a QR code.
Right.
So we can't even meet the spirit of our Georgia law the way we currently vote. I'm gonna address all that and fix that under a King administration.
There's a lot of work to be done. For whoever wins that seat, there's a lot of work to be done. There's no doubt. And I think, again, confidence has to be restored in that position. So it's a big deal. Kelvin, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. I know you're on a statewide campaign, which means you're on all four corners of this state, bouncing from the biggest of the smallest counties. If our listeners want to learn more about you, point them in the right direction, how do they find out?
Yeah, please. It's very simple. KelvinKing.com. KelvinKing.com. I'm the only candidate in this Republican primary that has business experience with real W-2 employees. I'm the only candidate that's a former military member. I'm the only candidate that's run statewide in the past. I've organized every county in the state. And I'm the only candidate that has a plan from day one to make sure that our elections are re-bolstered. We got to get new infrastructure. We got to make sure we get new trust. I'm the only candidate that has a plan to make sure that our Secretary of State's office is addressing the needs of the business community. And, Mark, at the end of the day, I'm the only candidate that can stand on his own 2 feet. I've done well with my business, and I don't necessarily need this income to make a living. I'm doing this because I know that I'm charged to serve our state of Georgia and make sure that integrity and character is back in this seat.
Well, and I think it's critically important. I do. It's a big deal that we get the right person in there, and I greatly appreciate you running. It's not running for a race is it's a difficult thing, and especially when you've run before and you've been defeated. I've been through that. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah, I was
going to
say, Mark, you understand.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, it is. It's tough, and to stay in the game means a lot, and it's impressive. And so I wish you the best with this, Kelvin. I really do, and I want you to stay safe and stay warm on the trail. It's cold right now, but where are you next? Where's your next? Like, do you have a scheduled?
Yeah, man, we're all over. We're all over, and tonight we're going to be going up to Forsyth. I'm going to be talking to the Tea Party up there, Forsyth Tea Party. But we're going to Banks. We were in Lawrence, GOP, over the weekend. We were in Clark last week. I mean, we were in Gilmore the week before that. So we're actually doing similar to what I did during my Senate campaign, and I'm going to hit every congressional district in the state and most of the counties too. So that's a lot of work. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to ask for your vote, I've got to show up in your community and ask for your vote.
That's right.
I really believe that the government, as Daniel Webster said in the mid-1800s, our government is made for the people, by the people, and answerable to the people. That's the original quote. Abraham Lincoln changed it up a little bit, but the government is answerable to the people. These political candidates and these political office holders think that these seats are their seats. They're just agents of the people.
That's correct.
These are people seats, and I want to make sure that I change that.
Well, it's you're right. There's been a skew in this, and sometimes elected officials, they let the power go to their heads. And as citizens, as voters, we don't want that. We want regular people in this office who've demonstrated some moniker of success in their life. That we know that we can send them to that seat and that they can get the job done. And so,
period. Yes,
there's
sir.
a hunger
and that's
for that.
the kind of candidacy that I am, and I agree with that because that is the way it was originally structured. Bring your knowledge and your trade, your skills to the government to serve for a period of time, and then go home.
Yep. No, that's it. That's right. No, and term limits on top of that. Well, Kelvin, I greatly appreciate you. And again, tell Janelle we said hello, and I'm sure we'll cross paths soon.
Thank you, Mark. I always enjoy chatting with you. You keep it up, and I wish you the very best in your endeavors.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, Kelvin. All right, Chastity, it has been a cold day, but we stayed nice and warm, and this was a stacked lineup. Absolute blast.
Great show.
These men taking the time. I know they're all busy. Kelvin's going to all over the place. These guys that are running statewide races, folks, this is no joke. There's a ton of geography that you have to cover. And like he said, you can't leave anybody out. You've got to go make an appearance, if you can, in every county. And that is not easy. That means that you are basically a road warrior, for a 12-month campaign or however long they've been running for. So it's a lot of work. But you can learn more about these guys. Go to their websites. You had Kelvin King on just a second ago. You had Clark Dean running to be governor a minute before that. You had Houston Gaines running for Georgia's 10th Congressional District, and then Blake Tillery running for Lieutenant Governor. And we'll continue to have other candidates on over the next couple of weeks as they share their vision and why they should earn your vote. So, folks, tune in, listen closely, and ask the tough questions. No doubt about it. What's in store for us tomorrow, Chastity?
So tomorrow we have our new Mr. Doug. Is that right?
Oh, what am I thinking? I'm not even on the air tomorrow.
Yeah, because we have Thursday. I can give you Thursday's lineup, but Mr. Doug's coming in.
So Doug Hollingsworth is going to be coming in. He's going to be guest hosting in place of me as I have a prior commitment down in the city that I got to go to tomorrow. Trust me, folks, I'd much rather be sitting here in the warm Julio studios of WMLQ, but I will be in the chilly downtown confines of Atlanta, Georgia. So Doug Hollingsworth is going to come in, and he is going to be talking about, I think, just fun stuff. He's going to be talking about leisure, golf, travel, cool things.
A lot of different topics. So
a lot of different topics,
Exciting.
Should be fun, should be cheery. It won't be the normal doom and gloom that I bring when I talk about political stuff, right?
No, this is so informative and huge, amazing guests that just keep the conversations going. So.
Now, you got to have your hands full. Doug hasn't been on the air in a while, so you're going to be, be sure he doesn't touch any of those buttons, okay?
All right.
If he reaches out,
hands off.
Yeah, hands
Yes.
off. You don't want him disconnected like I did the first couple times. So then, tell us what we got in store on Thursday. Who's coming in then?
So yes, Thursday we have a great lineup. So we have Mr. Gordon Rodan.
Gordon Roden from Clark County GOP. Yep.
Yes, and then our Covington Mayor, Miss Fleta Baggett.
That's going to be great.
So
okay.
excited to have her in the studio.
All
with
right.
us. So, and then Mr. John Marshall.
John Marshall. Yep. He is the principal of George Walton Academy.
Yes.
And one heck of a pickleball player.
And we've got an exciting principals kind of school lineup the rest of this week too. So
That's right. Then Friday, who do we have coming in Friday?
So Friday we actually have.
So I know Dane Callahan is coming in.
And Brian Hobbs.
Brian Hobbs. Okay. Yeah.
And then Lindsay Allen from Walnut Grove High School.
All three in one day.
In one day. Just
No.
like today.
Bar the
Packed
doors.
house. That's great.
We can't let them here come at the same time. If they come at the same time, that'll be overload.
Chaos.
Yeah, the wheels will come
We
off.
better be on our best behavior.
That's Principal Day on Friday.
Yeah,
I like it.
exciting.
Good deal. Well, folks, hopefully you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, 1025 Church has their big revival going on. I went last night. It was time well spent. Tonight's speaker is a guy named Jerry Spear, and they have this band that'll be playing for about 30 minutes, and they can bring it. It's called the Jason Levens Band. They're fantastic. I think they're out of Kentucky, West Virginia, that area there. So they describe themselves as kind of like country, gospel, hillbilly music. It is really fun, some of the songs that they sing. But the lead singer, Jason Levens, has a testimony that he shares that it is worth the drive to go and hear his story.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and if it doesn't bring tears to your eyes, you don't have a pulse, because this guy's got a great story to share. So wherever you are, folks, from Clark, from Oconee, from Morgan, down by Lake Oconee, it is worth the drive back to Monroe. 1025 Church is in downtown Monroe. I don't know what their website is, but I'm sure it's 1025.com or 1025church.com.
Easy to find.
Our pastor there, Tommy Fountain, is normally leading the charge. He has handed the reins over to some other people that will be guests. So worth the time to go and visit. And then once again, happy birthday to my dad, turning 84 today. And so, unless he's listening to Hannity or Riley right now, maybe tuning me in. Happy birthday, Dad. I'll be bringing you dinner tonight. All right, folks. Fun show. Yeah, happy birthday. Fun show today. Won't be here tomorrow. Tune in for Doug Hollinsworth. He'll be guest hosting the Marc McMain show from noon to 2 tomorrow, and then I'll be back on Thursday. Stay warm.